What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone, and welcome back to the day after. Obviously, I recorded it in the morning before I left, early in the morning before I left for work. That's why it's dark and I'm not in my place, obviously. But the day after, and the conclusion is that Yildiz is the big difference maker. And he apologized post game, interestingly enough. But my takeaway from that game, especially when I slept on it a couple of hours, was that Yildiz is just the takeaway and the frustrating part, because we are going to Venezia, we need a win, but we shouldn't be going to Venezia to need a win, because we could have wrapped this one up much earlier if we had Yildiz. And that's his own fault. It's a frustrating fault, but it's also very clear that he is the difference maker. And that's what we're going to talk about. Before we get into it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as always, and let's talk about it, because obviously he has the 2 assists, which are vital. Um, when the attack is not looking good, and it's not looking good. It hasn't been looking good all season, but lately it's probably been looking even worse. And he was missing for his own fault. What he did was a madness. And post game, he came out and he said there were 2 tough weeks for me. He said, I want to apologize to the fans, to my teammates, and to the club once again, because I think deep down inside he knows that he is the difference maker in this team, in a team that's struggling, when, and especially right now when everything is on the line. He knows, and we all know how poor you think he's been playing throughout 90 minutes. We all know that he can pop up with one moment, with keeping his head up, do not losing his head, and can make the difference. And he made the difference yesterday, a couple of hours ago for me, literally. But he made the difference, with that first goal. Again, you could, like, that could have been, excuse me, any player, and he could have just smashed it towards goal. He just kept his head up, focused, and laid it off perfectly for Nico Gonzalez, who miscontrolled it. Luckily enough, in the end, it did help for the goal. But the second goal is what I was looking at, because I've watched Conceição do the same thing in the same moment, a minute or two earlier, I think, or after, excuse me, and just ran straight into a defender when he himself could have played Vlahovic one-on-one with the goalkeeper. No focus, losing your head, not doing what you should be doing, not thinking about the club and the team, in my opinion, just thinking about yourself. That was identical to what Yildiz did. Only difference is that Yildiz at that moment in time knew that it needs to go to Vlahovic. I don't need to dribble. I don't need to make one more dribble. I don't need to do this and that because we're 1-0 up and whatever. He knew I'm going to lay it off to Vlahovic, and he's just going to need to finish it off. It's on him right now, but I did what I had to do. And he is that difference maker. And he knows that, I think, because if he didn't pick up that red card against Monza, we would have been in top 4. I'm convinced about that we would have won that game against Lazio and or Bologna, because I know that during that Lazio game and even during that Bologna game, that it would have been a different type of game, because you would have had a different type of outlet, and you would have teams focusing more on him, which will create more space, which these players, that's obviously every player need, but the players we have desperately need. They need to have options. If they do not have options, it looks like what it has been looking like against Bologna and Mons and Lazio, where we had, I don't know, a total of 3 shots on target, and we scored 2. Today, even though we didn't have many shots on target, when he has the ball, something can happen. He is different. He is actually a quote-unquote champion in a very bad team. And again, when I say champion, the bar is low. The bar is low. But even if the bar is low, we need him to not even to lower that bar. Excuse me, to not lower that bar even more. Because if you just sit back and you think about it, let's say you need to go to Venezia, and again, even with him, you can mess up, obviously, because look at it. It's like, again, when was the last time we won 2 games in a row? I'm actually going to look it up post-game, because now I'm very interesting, or post this video, because it probably will be something crazy, if I'm being honest. But, if you think about it, going to Venezia, you need to win a game, and 0-0, because they need a point maybe, or whatever, or you need a point. who's going to step up and just keep his cool and actually play that pass? And even if the teammates doesn't finish their dinner, at least he made that right decision to set up a player, to create something, to give us a chance to win a game. It's him. If you don't have him right now, it's maybe Conceição will put in a good cross. Maybe Conceição will, hit one on target, or maybe Conceição for once will pick up his hat and pick somebody up. Or maybe Nico Gonzalez will have that brilliant shot like he had against Monza. You're just waiting for those type of moments. However, when Yildiz has the ball, I'm more confident than any other player, because I know even if it's not working 100% of the time, I know at one point he's gonna make it work. That's how I'm looking at that situation. I'm like, okay, at one point he will find a solution or put us in a position to actually win that game, because going to Venezia is extremely tough. If I'm not mistaken, I think Lecce need to play Lazio, if I'm not mistaken. So, Venezia have a solid shot, of staying up. They have a solid shot of making it happen, because I think the other teams also have difficult games. They're gonna go. They have nothing to lose. They were dead a couple of weeks ago, months ago. Nobody would give him anything to stay in Serie A. And right now, they know, actually, we have a shot. We have nothing to lose. We play against a Juve side that is not that good. We've seen other teams go at them. Empoli were fighting relegation, knocked us out of the cup. They know, actually, if we go for it, we can do it. A free kick, a corner, an early goal. However, frustrated Juve, now they need to score 2 goals. That is a big thing right now. Staying focused for the next 7 days, really focused, because Tudor spoke about, I'm trying to take the pressure away, but we are focused. I have the players basically on the right path. They know what the task ahead is, and they're focused, even though the pressure is what it is. He said it's part of the job, and we need to accept it, and that's a fact. However, it's gonna be a nervy game against Venezia, and in that nervy game, I'm gonna need somebody to pop up and take the nerves away with an early goal, whatever, to put us on the front foot. And I'm looking at those players. Who's going to step up? Yes, against Venezia, a relegation side on match day 38 to get top 4. But who is going to step up and make it happen and get us into that damn Champions League, and secure some sort of future for the club and for certain players as well. That is the big thing. And I'm looking at Yildiz. Pressure is on for you. You threw away that game, with a red card. You know what's on the line, and I think he deep down inside knows that he's going to need to make it happen next week or this week against Venezia. I'm sorry. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you agree with me that if he would have been there for the last 2 games, I think we would have been already in top 4, And do you also agree that it's going to need to come from him against Venezia to, get us over the line? Like the video, and we will speak again very soon. Ciao.